Hello there, this is Murph again. In this tutorial, I will show you how to create a virtual network inside the Windows Azure cloud. By default, when you create a VM on the Windows Azure cloud, it puts your individual VM into separate networks on separate subnets. Even though you get a public IP address, you wouldn't see your VMs sitting on the same internal network. So, for example, in this case, if I have a Windows 2012 VM, I have a public IP which I can reach this VM. There's also an internal IP address which is on the 10.175.160.69 network. Um, if I create another VM, it will not on the same internal IP address network. So if you ever wanted to have a say multiple VMs for your application on the Windows Azure cloud, and you want those individual VMs to communicate with each other using the same internal IP address network, then you need to create a virtual networks inside a Windows Azure cloud, so which is pretty easy. To do that, you go to um, the networks. Once you log into the Windows Azure cloud network section here, and I already have one created, but to create one, you just click on new, and then virtual network. You can do quick create or custom create. You can also import configuration in the Microsoft Windows Azure cloud website. There are some sample configuration that you can import. So if you already have, say, some file that you can import as well. So I'll go through a custom create. Okay. Um, so to create a virtual network, first say let's say DMZ, for example. Give it a name. You have to create an affinity group. If you never had an affinity group, you can create a new affinity group. So I'm going to say create a new affinity group, and you can then choose a region where you want the affinity group to be. Since I'm in the West Coast, I will say West DMZ. Say next, and then I can choose the subnet that I want. So by default, it'll give you a subnet. You can choose the so I like the side annotation. So in this case, you can choose. Say you need your application. The application needs to have a 172 IP address. Say for example, you have an application stack which has multiple VMs, and all of those VMs are on the 172 network already. Then you could try changing it here, and then that way you don't have to change your VMs, which you can export from your private cloud, which maybe say on a Hyper-V environment. So in this case, let me choose 172, and then I can choose the size of the address range. So I can choose say so just 20/24, which will give me that's enough for my internal network. But you can choose a higher range. In this case, I will have a range of 000 to 025, excluding dot 0 and dot 25, and minus the gateway. So I choose this, and then I say next, and I can select a DNS server, or I can just um, uh, uh, leave it as it is. So in this case, I don't need a DNS server. But you say if you have a DNS server that you want to use your own DNS server, then you can do so. But I'm not going to change. Select that. You can also choose a gateway if you want. Um, but in this case, I don't need it. But a gateway is basically if you're creating a connecting to your private cloud through some sort of VPN, then you may want to set this option. But for my test, I don't need that. All I want to show you that there are two VMs on the multiple VMs on the Windows Azure cloud, which can communicate to each other with the internal network, and then you can try out different configuration like VPN and all that. I don't have a site-to-site VPN at this point, so I can't show you that. But you have this option if you want. So as you see, it's pretty nice visualization that they provide. So it shows you that you're connecting to a VPN, and then you can connect your DNS server on your residing on your corporate network. So that's pretty great. So I don't need that right now. So right now it's creating my my network here, and let me clear all this, and it's done. Okay. So now I can go and configure it more or change it if I want. So that's the one that I already had. So let me go DMZ, for example. So I don't have any VM assigned to this. Then I would, if I had any VM, then I would see them in this section here, and I can configure further if I need to, and add DNS server later on if I need to. Okay. Let me create a few VMs, and then I can show you, how they look like. So I'm gonna go new. And I'm gonna quickly create 2 Linux VMs on this network. So from gallery, and I'm gonna choose Ubuntu 12.04, and it's fine. Ubuntu DMZ1, and I can choose my username. Small is fine. I showed a video how to create a Linux VM on the Windows Azure. So it looks like I don't have it. Some may say remove DMZ1. Okay, and I will keep it as it is, all by default. So now I'm gonna choose the network for this VM where it matters. So I'm gonna choose DMZ, the network that I just created, the virtual network, and say next. And availability set, I don't need any high availability feature on this VM, so just for test, I'm good with none, and say yes. So now it's creating the VM. Now I'm going to create another VM now at the same time, and I'm going to choose again similar kind. DMZ2. Okay. DMZ2. Okay, yeah, I could default, and I change the network to DMZ, and I'm good. So now it's creating those 2 VMs as I see here. So it's gonna put go back, sorry, wrong VM. So Ubuntu DMZ1 and Ubuntu DMZ2. I should have named it Ubuntu DMZ2, but these are the 2 VMs that we're talking about. So this is gonna get an internal IP of 172.16.0.4 as you see here, and the other one is getting still not done yet. But I can go to DMZ network and see. I see already. So if I want to see, if I have a particular virtual network, I want to see which VMs are using that network. I think I can go there from this network and select my network, and I can see that this VM is already mounted here. So that's my other VM network, which has 2 VMs, Ubuntu 1 and Ubuntu 2. But we are interested in DMZ ones. So let me see if the other one is already done yet. So still creating the VM2 that I was creating, and see. Let's see here. Still provisioning. This can be handy when you have a situation where, say, you have a Active Directory, sitting as a an internal VM, and then you have some other server VM that basically talk to the Active Directory directly, but you don't want to expose the Active Directory publicly, because by default when you create a VM on the Windows Azure cloud, as you see in the endpoint, there are a lot of I think by default for Windows machines it's only there is a port that is available to the 3389 port, which is to RDP. For example, you have an Active Directory you don't want to expose publicly, then you can keep the endpoint settings as it is. Block all the ports from the public facing network, and you can have your internal network open, and then you can set some firewall inside, but you don't have to worry about somebody hacking your Active Directory directly by opening some ports that you may not realize that when you go to the endpoints and add some ports depending on your application. So you can have those situations. There are other scenarios, like you can have a backend SQL server, or a web server, SQL server that you can use. You don't need to expose to the to the internet. Even though you can block all the ports, and you can only have the web server contacting the SQL server directly, rather than going through all this public network. So those are pretty handy in those situations. And sometimes you need applications to talk to each other to the internal network, and this is why I need that. Okay, so it looks like these VMs are done. So here this one goes 172.160.12. So I'm gonna change the endpoint here. So this is the public facing network that I can control to this endpoint section here. So as you see, it can be handy. Now I'm gonna let me show here. So I'm gonna delete this. Actually no, I'm gonna keep this, change to 22. Okay, because I don't wanna try a different port. I just like to do it 22. I'm gonna go to this one and go to the same thing here, 22, so that I can directly access through it from my machine, even though I could use the same one. So okay, I'm gonna go to this VM here. So I'm going to use a public internet to connect network. I could use the host name actually. Just use the host name here. Okay, so connect it on my Linux machine, and I'm going to see the IP address here. As you see, it's 172.16. So now if I want, I can ping 172.116.0.4 sorry, 12. That's the other VM, and let me see if I can SSH. And I can SSH. Okay, let me show you something that can be handy here. So if I go to DMZ2 right now, let's see if I can SSH from the public network here, which I should be, because there is an endpoint rule already present, and see if I can connect here. Okay. Okay, you can see that I can access this server, DMZ2 server, from the internet, from my machine to the internet. And it is using IP address here already. Say I don't want people to access this VM at all from the internet. I want this to be blocked completely, but I still want to be able to connect to this DMZ2 from DMZ1 VM through the internal network. So I can do so here. Let me remove the endpoint on DMZ2. Okay, so I'm in the DMZ2. I'm going to delete. So what it's going to do is going to remove this endpoint, so I won't be able to connect to this VM at all through SSH. So it's highly secure, so nobody can access this VM at all. So DMZ2 is totally internal to this network, to the virtual network. So at this stage, operation retrieve this. Oh, that's seems like an Azure error. It's taking a little bit longer. Okay, and I'm gonna pause this video while Windows Azure thinks a little bit more. Okay, I'll be back. Okay, so looks like our deletion is done. It took a little bit longer, but Windows Azure did delete the endpoint. So right now I shouldn't be able to connect to this DMZ2 VM at all from my network or any network from externally. So if I try again now, I shouldn't be able to connect. So I can't. As you see here, it's just freezing here. Um, so it's not possible because we removed the endpoint. So now let's try from the DMZ1. We still is in the same internal network. So let's see if we can still SSH to this same VM through this IP address. And we can still. So this is where it gets handy. So now we increase the security of this DMZ2 VM by protecting it and still keeping connection available from DMZ1 to DMZ2. So this could be an SQL server which I want to be behind the firewall and don't want anyone to touch it, and then there's a web server that's probably that only accesses this VM. So that's pretty handy. So I hope this helps. So you can play with it more, trying setting up VPN and all that if you want, and feel free to put a comment if you want to share your experience. And that's about it. Thank you very much.